All right, fig lovers, this is Ross the Fig Boss. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Fignomenal fig variety, which is what we're looking at right here. This is proving to be a very popular fig variety. I know probably a lot of you guys who are subscribed to this channel never heard of it, don't want anything to do with it, but I'm telling you, it's getting a lot of attention. I think for two reasons. First of all, the name is very catchy. If I could name a fig variety, which by the way, I've never named a fig variety in my life, if I could, I would probably choose this. Looking back on it, this is an incredible name for a fig variety. Also, it's dwarf, or at least they claim it is. So we're going to talk in this video not just about this variety, if you're not interested in this variety, but we're going to cover dwarf fig varieties and talk more about really what is a dwarf fig variety and if it really even matters that this is a dwarf fig variety. So first and foremost, the fruit. I've been able to get a lot of fruit off of this. The fruit looks just like a Hardy Chicago. So if you're familiar with Hardy Chicago and you guys are thinking about growing this fig tree, there's almost no reason to grow this variety other than the fact that it is dwarf. So all the same characteristics apply. It's probably a very hardy tree. They ripen at the same time, same split resistance, humidity resistance, rain resistance, and the fruits taste very, very similar and will look very, very similar. Now, there is 100+ named Hardy Chicago types. So I was very hesitant to grow this variety because I've grown so many Hardy Chicagos over the years. Now, I haven't grown 100 of them, but because Hardy Chicago is such a popular fig variety throughout the world, it's so hardy, it's so reliable, people don't really know what they have, but it's been spread all throughout the world. So then they just went ahead and named their fig variety kind of whatever they wanted, without doing any research, without contacting someone like myself first to identify it. And so you end up with, like I said, easily 100+ named Hardy Chicago figs throughout the world. So because there's so many, a lot of collectors like myself and people who are really into figs have grown a lot of these varieties and have really kind of stuck with a good handful of them. There's definitely some that taste better and have a better reputation for tasting better than others. Figs like Norella, Azores Dark, Conde, Crows, Red Lebanese, Baca Valley. I personally really like Savanac Noir and San Donato de Nadia. So if I'm going to grow another Hardy Chicago, I'm not going to just grow it because it's a dwarf. I'm going to grow it because it has a good reputation for flavor and might actually beat some of the other ones. Fortunately, after eating these and comparing the fruits, and I got quite a few fruits. I probably had about 15 little fruits so far on this tree. They're about the same size, and they taste, by the way, just like a Hardy Chicago. So I think it's slightly above average if you consider the 100+ named varieties. This one is somewhere in the 60th percentile, let's say, of eating quality, maybe 65–70%. So that's really good. Considering, you know, you can find Hardy Chicagos out there on the internet from different nurseries. They'll deliver them to your house. You grow the tree out for 4 or 5 years. They can be big, beautiful trees. They've been in the ground for a long time. I've eaten Hardy Chicagos off of those trees, and they're not really good. It's really strange how that happens. The genetics themselves, and even the epigenetics, this is a mutation, by the way. So the genetics determine the flavor, but when the genetics change because of a natural mutation that occurs that causes it to just say, let's say, grow slower, well, then the flavor might change, the texture might change, and you didn't even really realize it as well. So also the epigenetics, just the fact that this tree is growing in this spot for, let's say, so many years, the genetics can change and slide on a scale, also impacting the flavor. In terms of it being dwarf, let's talk about that now. It's definitely, I would say, a fig variety that has closer node spacing. So that to me is what's making it dwarf. The other way you can determine a dwarf is if the caliper of the wood over time, if you take the average caliper size, the width of the trunk of your tree, and you compare it to other varieties over, let's say, 5 or 10 years, well, then you know that it grows slower. So some varieties will produce thinner wood, and some varieties will produce closer node spacing. And those are the dwarf varieties. However, the term dwarf fig variety is kind of misleading in the world of figs, because there really is no such thing as a dwarf. Let me explain. These figs, given the right location, the right variety, the right microclimate, the right water, the right soil, the right sunlight, these trees can grow to 40, 70 feet tall. So that's a standard, right? Standard means the tallest and biggest the trees will get, let's say maybe even on average. You know, apples and pears, if left to their own devices, on standard rootstocks can grow to 40 feet, right? Now, a dwarf is going to be a percentage of that. So if you have a semi-dwarf, then you're going to be looking at like 60 to 70% of that 40 feet. Then a dwarf is going to be somewhere between like 30 and 40% of that 40 feet. So this fig variety behind me, Fignomenal, and other dwarf varieties that I have, like I have two right here. They're called Verdino del Nord, or Figoin, Figolino, Zigolino. There's so many names for it in northern Italy that they come from. They grow much closer node spacing than most varieties. The same thing with, they say, Pastelliere is a dwarf variety, and Violet de Bordeaux is a dwarf variety. They even claim Little Miss Figgy, which is just supposedly a mutation of Violet de Bordeaux, is a dwarf fig variety. But if you were to prune these fig varieties heavily, you're going to encourage them to have much wider node spacing. So I could take this Fignomenal back here, which I will be doing in the future, and I'll just keep chopping it back to you know, almost nothing. I'm going to chop it back this year, even though it's only 2 feet. I'm going to chop it back probably to about 6 inches, and take all those cuttings, sell them to people who are interested in the variety. The next year that tree grows, it's probably going to grow 6 feet. So, you know, you want a fig tree that you don't have to prune, that's going to stay small, and that's the purpose of a dwarf. Then I think this fig variety does it. But the second you decide to prune it, and if you prune it improperly is really the key, it's going to grow a lot the following year. Now, I've even seen varieties like Little Ruby, which is another dwarf variety that you can find on the internet, readily available. I have one that's only about 5 feet, 4.5 feet, never really pruned it, and it's stayed at that size for about 5 or 6 years. That's impressive, and I think Fignomenal will do probably something similar, maybe get a little bit taller. I think it has the potential to be a taller tree than that. But I just saw the other day, there's a Little Ruby tree that I found that's like 10 feet tall almost. So, you know, you could tell by the way that owner had pruned it. After I got close, examined the fruits of the tree, and looked at the tree, couldn't believe it was Little Ruby because of the size of it. It just goes to show you that if you prune them, they will grow faster. Generally, I think it's a good tree. I think if you want to have the variety and you want a tree that you don't have to prune, it's also a good choice. But you don't necessarily even need a dwarf fig variety as well. That's the other point I want to make. Some people make the argument that, this is always a marketing gimmick, by the way, that dwarf varieties are better for pots. If you grow figs in pots, you're going to want a dwarf variety instead of a full, fast-growing standard variety. And that's just incorrect as well. I've grown literally thousands of figs in pots over the years, and the ones that grow slower in pots are worse. They produce less fruit, they take more time to establish. Yeah, maybe you don't have to root prune them as soon as the other varieties, but these varieties that grow faster, they typically produce more fruit, and to me it's more worth it to grow them in pots and the extra effort that's involved, because they actually fruit heavier and put out more of that fruit, have less problems, they're easier to establish in pots. Yeah, that is the video there, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Please hit the like button for me, hit the subscribe button for me, and we'll see you for the next video. Take care, guys.